Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. So my name is Denise. I am a freedom activist in the state of California in San Joaquin County. I'm also one of the co-founders of an organization named Freedom Angels Foundation. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Gavin Newsom again. So my organization really fights back against Governor Newsom's orders and the unlawful policies that he puts forward. And I did a video the other day on all of the crimes that have been committed by Governor Newsom, like the alleged tax evasion. So Governor Newsom was gifted a multi-million-dollar home, all while not claiming it on his taxes. He also took out a refinancing of that home at $2.7 million. And again, he did not pay refinancing, or he didn't pay the taxes on that. So that is the first question as Freedom Angels. We want to know what his response is. But what's happening in California right now? So most people know that California and New York have created this this pact. So it's a Western and Eastern pact that Gavin Newsom created in order to push back against against President Trump. So what is that pact now consisting of? Now, in the very beginning, Gavin Newsom, along with Cuomo, sent positive patients to nursing homes. So he was paying the nursing homes to accept these patients, as well as the nursing homes were collecting payment from the homes of the families of the patients. So they were double dipping. Now he's always saying that he based everything on science. So the science that he's been basing everything on has been the science from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. What is happening now? Now, Gavin Newsom, let me backtrack. If you did not know, the CDC came out and said that asymptomatic carriers or people should not be tested. It's science. Time and time again, it has come out that asymptomatic people are not contagious. So the whole mask wearing pretty much goes out the window. Gavin Newsom has also said many, many of times that the state won't open until there's a vaccine for COVID. This vaccine will be the vaccine that you will have to get in order to stay in public and private school, in order to go back to work and to travel. Now, we're already seeing that in New York, where they're putting checkpoints up and they are asking you where you're coming from, where you're going, and that you will have to quarantine, and they're taking your information. So we have already felt the restrictions on travel. Same thing happening with the airlines. You can't travel anymore unless you have a mask. And really what this mask is, it's a soft grooming in order to prepare you for the mandated vaccines that are going to be hitting the general public soon. So, Gavin Newsom has been taking all of his advice from the CDC, citing the CDC when it comes to mandating a vaccine, citing the CDC when it comes to mandating masks in order to go into stores or just to be outside. But now the CDC is changing its guidelines, and Gavin Newsom, along with Cuomo, went on record, and I want to quote this properly, went on record to say, "I don't agree with the new CDC guidance, period. Full stop. It is the policy in the state of California. We're influenced by those who are experts in the field who feel very differently." Now, if he is supporting the CDC, he sees them as experts in what's going on, and he's using their guidance in order to push his vaccine and mask agenda. Why all of a sudden is he changing his tune? Could it be because of that billion-dollar mask deal that he invested with China? He's also, there's more investments, and I'm going to get into that on the next video so I can get all the information straight. But what we're seeing is the vaccine agenda being rolled out very, very quickly. Now, when Freedom Angels was formed, we formed because we were fighting against the agenda, this very agenda. A lot of people wanted to say that this was I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. Wanted to say these were vaccine bills and that these were anti-vaxxers who were fighting these laws, when in reality, we knew exactly where these laws were going to go. So we fought SB 276, which removes the patient and doctor relationship. What happened with SB 276 is the Democrats at the California legislature said that there were false medical exemptions written by doctors to excuse children from being vaccinated. Now, during an appropriations hearing, Lorena Gonzalez, who is the chair, she's a Democrat here in California, she passed this bill while saying there haven't been any doctors found yet that have written a fake exemption. So we're just doing this as precautions. Now what happened? Now our children's medical records are in the hands of public health. AB 262 in the state of California allowed the public health officer to enter your home without a warrant and remove your children, your property, your pets without a warrant if they feel that you are a public health threat. We fought that, and of course, the California Democrat legislators passed it, and during our conversations, they said, this isn't a vaccine bill. Well, this is a bill all around. This is what you're seeing. This is why it is critical and incredibly important to the movement to fight back. And the targets, public enemy number one, are the public health officers. As you can see, Gavin Newsom cannot create laws, and he has went on record saying he cannot mandate anything. But what he's done is he's utilizing the agencies that he oversees, like ABC, the alphabet agencies, and public health, in order to push his agenda. So any schools that are not on the watch list will have to look at public health, and public health will be able to give you the thumbs up or thumbs down if you can open schools. What's happening is these schools are now the focus of where we need to be. The schools are the weakest link in this chain of tyrants. And what is happening in California should really alarm you in other states, because it doesn't matter if you're a red state or a blue state. We're seeing that with Idaho. It's all the same. These are just sleepers. These are rhinos. These are people who get into politics to flip a state. And that's what's happening. We know California is a blue state, but it is slowly turning. But Gavin Newsom invested, I think $1 million, was it $1 million? $100 million on pop-up child care facilities. So he closed the facilities across California and then recreated the wheel by utilizing social services. So it's no longer this isn't a school, these aren't accredited teachers, these are social service workers going into the child care realm. Social services cannot police themselves. We have seen that over and over again. It is alarming the amount of children that get lost in the CPS system. And it's even more alarming the children who are found in the human trafficking realm. 86% of those children come from the CPS system. So it is a corrupt system. It became corrupt when under the Clinton administration, when he allowed to incentivize CPS. So when you include money into these facilities, into these entities as a reward for removing children, that doesn't leave much room to allow for reunification of those children. So now social services receives $4,000 per child that is removed from the home, while it's an extra $2,000 for a child that is disabled. So what is happening in the state is that there is an attack, a huge attack on our children. Gavin Newsom said that in his press briefing, that social services will be taking over the realm of childcare for people who are essential workers and who absolutely need to go back to work. So again, this is an agenda that's being pushed. They want your children in public school, and they're really scrambling for that opportunity to get them in there. Not only to bring on the curriculum that they've really pushed, which is the sex ed curriculum. They're really pushing a BLM curriculum now, which starts in kindergarten. So it's telling children that they're less than because of the color of their skin, and they're teaching them this at a young age. They're teaching the sex ed curriculum at a young age. And in order to lower the age of consent, you have to teach it. So that's exactly what's happening in our public school system. Recently, the CDC came out, and you can look it up under CDC children's disaster, and it'll show you the recommendations that CDC has for children, for parents to send their children to school. And those recommendations are that you send an overnight bag and you send medication, just in case your child gets separated from you. Now, I don't know about you, but sending your child to school in a mask to a school that's going to test them on a regular basis. And if that child does become sick at school, or there is a kid who shows up sick, your child will be quarantined. We're already seeing that 80 children have been quarantined because one child was found to be sick. Now, that means that I'm trying to find the article, I don't see it. That means that you're going to get a phone call from your child's school saying that someone tested positive, and per the guidelines of public health, that child will have to be quarantined along with the entire classroom or school, however they choose to do this, and you will have to be quarantined. You will not be allowed to pick up your child. So this is where they want you to send all of their essentials to be quarantined for 14 days minimum, and now you're separated from your children. I don't know about you, but I don't know any Democrat that supports separation of families. This is something that they really hammer in on us. No separation of families. Yet here in California, we have families separated every day. Around the nation, families separated every day. And now Gavin Newsom has included social services to be taking care of our children instead of just opening up the schools, because we know that children are not affected. Personally, I don't want the schools to be open, but in order to dismantle the whole system, you have to destroy it from the inside, which means you take their funding. The schools are the weakest link. They really absolutely need the funding. They need our children to be in those seats in order to collect the funding. So when they're not in the seats and they're running out of options, that's why schools are no longer allowing for independent study, because they want these teachers to be teaching these Zoom classes, all while Zoom classes are being hacked by pedophiles. I am in San Joaquin County, and there is a school, Lodi Unified, there's a district, Lodi Unified School District, that has had their computers hacked multiple times, had pedophiles leaving information for children who are in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. There was even teachers in San Jose showing up shirtless on camera. Zoom and the group meet and all of these online applications so children can stay on, they're dangerous. And what we're seeing is schools are telling parents that they shouldn't be involved in their children's education. They don't want parents hovering over them and listening to the syllabus and listening to what the curriculum is. If these things are taught in private and if they're done in secret, they probably shouldn't be done at all, especially when it comes to our children. So what Freedom Angels and what I really encourage you to do is you're already not even homeschooling. Distance learning is not homeschooling, but you are already having your children at home without, without the help of a teacher. So you're having these children online all day long for 6 hours a day with very slight instruction from a teacher. So what I suggest you do is you pull your child from school. What happened here? There we go. You pull your child from school and you homeschool. The way you homeschool is you disenroll them from your current school. You don't need anything else to disenroll them. simply need an email sent or certified letter sent saying, my child's name is a student in this classroom. I am disenrolling them as of this date, and do not send them to school while you're sending this. So make sure they're out of school, send the letter, keep them home, because there will be a lot of pushback and you don't want your child in that facility when you're not there. A lot of schools are telling you now, no, you can't disenroll them. You need to show me your curriculum. You need to show me your affidavit. Just know this is in the state of California. So I suggest that you look at your state and you decide how you want to proceed with this. But in the state of California, you do not need an affidavit. You do not need to show them a curriculum. You don't need to show them anything. You need to give them the letter and be on your way. You do not need to give them your child's medical records. So, bartering. Sorry, one second. This is my thing keeps closing down. Bartering your child's education to get their medical records, it's not appropriate and it's unnecessary. So you disenroll them. You have two options in California, and again, look at your state laws, but you can file a private school affidavit, which is a PSA. You can find that at your district's website, your district office, if they're open. And it's a very simple form that you fill out. You file a private school affidavit, which means that you are now separated from the school. You have no ties. You do not turn in work. You do not need to abide by their state curriculum. You are your child's teacher and you are a private school. Now, that's one option. That's free. You, in the state of California, your deadline is October 15th to file. And it is absolutely no charge. Now, your other option is to file a private satellite school. Now, private satellite schools are schools that they're basically private schools. They're your home school, but you're paying another entity to register, saying that your child is a student with their entity. They do have a curriculum available. So that way it gives you a level of privacy, because if you're a private school, if you file a PSA, you need to divulge a lot of personal information. If you are a satellite school, then that school provides their information, so you still have a level of privacy happening. The satellite schools do cost some money. They range anywhere between $100 to $500 a year. So that's something that you would want to look at to see which best fits your family. In the state of California, I do not suggest charter schools. They are under attack by Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, along with the California Democrats, put together this packet to these bills to attack charter schools. So what used to happen is your child would be at a school and you would transfer them, and that funding that school had for your child would then transfer you to your other school. What's going on with the charter schools now is if you change your child over, that funding stays with your previous school. And now there's a cap on enrollment for charter schools. It's only a matter of time until these charter schools go away. So I would suggest that you just mentally prepare and get your household ready. It's not a simple process, but as far as diving into homeschooling, because it's scary. You're your child's educator, and it becomes a lot of pressure, and I'm struggling with it, trying to make sure that we're doing right for our kids. But there is nothing better than being involved in your child's education. And if you can't be there, just remember you don't have to mimic public school. Homeschooling can be at any time. It can be when you get off of work. It can be on the weekends. It doesn't have to be these long 8-hour days. Children don't learn like that. They learn the repetitive. It's memorization. When you're homeschooling, it's a completely different environment. So if you go to work, I think what most people have isn't a homeschool problem, it's a childcare problem. So a lot of people are out of work right now because they're not essential. So that's where you go and you network and you work with people to say, hey, I can help you on this day, you help me on this day, or vice versa. You figure out how it's going to work. But right now, schools are the most dangerous place for your child to be. And I noticed a lot of people are talking about medical exemptions for masks, or they're wearing the net masks that don't really mean anything. They think it's a big FU. or masks that have a big FU on there and you think you're being clever. Unfortunately, if you're wearing a mask, you are helping the vaccine program layout. These masks are basically a vaccine. And if you don't have it, you're not going to be able to go to school. You're not going to be able to go into society unless you have that digital certificate and you have all the information that you need saying that you've either been vaccinated or that you have been sick. But just remember, it's not always going to be for COVID. There's always going to be some illness, and that digital certificate is going to follow you. Just like Bill Gates is trying to create this vaccine that also has your medical information involved. So it's like a chip that goes inside. So these are things that we're fighting against, and we're not going to be able to win it if we wear masks, even if it's a net mask or a FU Newsom mask or whatever you choose to do. It is not helping our situation. It is actually making it worse. You do not need a medical exemption for schools or for stores. Medical exemptions only make things worse. There is no law for a mask, none. No governor, no sheriff, no district attorney, no public health officer can create laws. These medical exemptions, and this is something that we found out with SB 277 and SB 276, medical exemptions are only good to track you, put you in a database, and to collect information from doctors who help speak out. So when you have a medical exemption for vaccines or for anything, you are telling the state that your body, your medical privacy, your information is up for barter, and you are now needing an excuse from a doctor to opt out of having fresh air. Same with vaccines. You are asking a doctor to opt you out of a medical procedure that needs informed consent and that needs consent in general to proceed with the biologic. So medical exemptions are never a good idea. They're never a good idea for school. We saw that, or how that was going to play out. Our doctors have been crucified in California and New York. There are no functional exemptions to any vaccines. So I get a lot of people saying, do you have a doctor that can help? Nothing. So please stop trying to get a medical exemption for a mask. Please understand this COVID vaccine and how this is going to work. We are now know, just like the childhood vaccines, that this COVID vaccine will not have any liability. So right now, currently, there's a table that you can look at for adult vaccines and what's on the table that you can sue for, but this has already come out. It's not going to happen. So while we're listening to Bill Gates, who doesn't have a medical degree, who doesn't have any medical background, who has no science background, his background is making money. He's already said, vaccines were the best investment that I've ever made. And there's video of him giving the polio vaccine bare hand, no gloves, to children in India and Africa and Indonesia. And we're seeing that these countries are now blowing the whistle, saying, what is happening? We are not guinea pigs. And that's exactly what Bill Gates is doing. He is using these poor countries to use his vaccine for trials. And they're coming back that these vaccines are hurting people. So when we want to talk about privilege, it's very privileged of you to use this vaccine program that's first been tested out on poor countries. And now you have the good batch. But we don't want to talk about Bill Gates. We don't want to talk about Bill Gates being involved in the world of pedophilia. We don't want to talk about Bill Gates using these poor countries for his own agenda, harming them, killing girls who had the Gardasil vaccine. 7 girls died in his trial in India. And now he's not allowed there anymore. We need to start looking at the agenda and looking at the people who are putting this in place and see that none of these people actually care about science, and they for damn sure don't care about the people. This has been politicized from the very beginning, and my videos are videos asking for help from people who can help us with the citizen's arrest on Gavin Newsom. If you're a sheriff in the state of California and you are able to help us with arresting him for a citizen's arrest, please reach out to us. Our email is freedomangelsfoundation@protonmail.com, and we will absolutely lead in arresting Gavin Newsom for his crimes. So that is it. I will be doing a regular podcast. I will come back to YouTube and I will be doing a regular podcast, either landing on Wednesdays or Fridays. And I will keep you guys updated. But you can also find us at freedomangelsfoundation.org. And we are all over social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube under Freedom Angels. My name is Denise. I am also known as the Informed Mama, and I have all the social media handles, excluding Facebook, because Facebook banned me for life permanently for reporting them to the child trafficking agencies for being complicit in human trafficking. So, so that's it. I will see you guys again next week. And again, if you would like to reach out, you can do so at Freedom Angels Foundation at protonmail.com or Denise Freedom Angel at protonmail.com. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.